Is it pure bliss?
It's pure bliss. We were so tired of rushing around. We had a really good community in South Africa, and yeah, we had lovely people around us, but we longed for a slower pace of life and living closer to nature, and we absolutely got more than we expected.
I made the sum when I had it working in South Africa versus here. I'm having per month about between 10 and 12 days less work for more money.
It's incredible.
Yeah, so one of our main motivations was more family time. And I can be a stay-at-home mom here for now. In South Africa, I had to work as well.
I'm Dr. CHAMONIX Blanche, ex-corporate and academical, turned CEO and board member of several companies and mother of 4 little extraordinary kids. But it wasn't that long ago that I lacked the confidence, the know-how, and the time to focus on designing and really going after the life that I so wanted to live. A life of freedom, of fairness, and of being fair dinkum to who I really was and what I wanted to get out of this fleeting time that we have on Mother Earth. Fast forward to many lessons learned and moving halfway around the world to the most amazing country, you'll see the life that I now live. One that gives me more safety and freedom than I ever thought would be possible, and that really only existed as a daydream while I was living in South Africa. I created CHAMONIX TV to give you true spot advice on how you can also live a life in this amazing country, and so that you can see how another couple like us now live in Australia with 4 little kids here in Down Under. And I'll be providing you with step-by-step strategies so that you can make your Aussie dream a reality too. If you're a keen future Aussie who's looking to create a life that excites you and offers you safety, freedom, and opportunity, you have come to the right place, my friend. Welcome aboard.
Before we continue with the episode, I just quickly wanted to jump in here to let you know that Migration Made Easy, which is our signature online course, will be opening its doors very soon again. If you are serious about making your way over to Australia as soon as possible and you want to become a part of the best community on the internet, you want to make sure that you are on our waitlist. www.chamonixtv.com.au/waitlist. And we will teach you everything that you need to know in order to maximize your chances to make it to this amazing country as soon as possible. All right, let's jump into the episode. Hi, Este and Drikus. Thank you so much for joining us from Taree. Now, Taree. Please tell us, where on earth is this interesting place?
So Taree is in New South Wales, and it is part of the Manning Valley, and it is beautiful. We've got a lot of little towns close to each other. It's close to the coast.
It's about 3 hours north of Sydney.
Yeah.
Okay, now how do you land in Taree from South Africa?
Well, we always wanted to move to a small town, so it's a dream come true. But you tell the story.
On my skill set, I'm a veterinarian, so we get work fairly easily in Australia. Started looking in 2018 due to different circumstances, but eventually looking, and then had a recruiter beginning of 2020, and then COVID hit and
everything stopped.
And then in 2021, around about a year ago now, so April 2021, I received an email that said, but they're looking for a job. There's a sponsorship open. And I sort of just looked at it and said, now maybe I should tell Este about it or not. And that was on the Friday. And then on the Tuesday, I received an SMS in South Africa, also advertising the same job. I said, well, now I need to show this to Este. And I showed it to her. And then we started applying, and it was an employer that was looking for vets. He is an ex-South African as well. They've been here for over 20 years at the moment. And they said they've been advertising in Australia for the last 2 years, and no one wants to come work. And then we applied, and we got in on a on a 494 visa. So that's also, it's regional, which we love in any case. And yeah, it's good.
Yeah, we still get some benefits, so that's nice.
So from where in South Africa did you come?
Pretoria.
Okay. So you went from a big city to a small little town called Taree.
Oh, yes.
Is it pure bliss?
It's pure bliss. We were so tired of rushing around. We had a really good community in South Africa, and yeah, we had lovely people around us, but we longed for a slower pace of life and living closer to nature, and we absolutely got more than we expected.
Oh, it sounds like a dream come true. Now, tell me a little bit about the actual job, Drikus. Is it a 9 to 5? Are you on call certain hours?
I am on call, which I only had one previous job, but I am working way less than I was working in South Africa.
Yes.
I'm working 4 days a week, and then I'm on call 1 day a week, and then I'm on call on a weekend, one in 5 at the moment, and there's another South African vet coming, and then we'll be 1 in 6 weekends. So I made the sum when I had it working in South Africa versus here. I'm having per month about between 10 and 12 days less work for more money.
It's incredible.
Yeah, so one of our main motivations was more family time. And I can be a stay-at-home mom here for now. In South Africa, I had to work as well.
Mm. Yeah. So do you work at the moment, Este?
No, I'm at home with my kids. We're starting with a bit of homeschooling, which we love. We go on beach excursions all the time. So no, it's been good. In South Africa, I was a speech therapist full-time.
Okay, all right. Well, you know that speech therapists are in great demand in Australia. So if you ever feel like you want to go and just venture a little bit and put your feelers out, then you can certainly do that.
I'm busy with my portfolio, but it's going to take a few more months. And then they've got a grueling English test, which we really struggle with. So they're making it really hard for the speeches to come over. We received superior on our English test for immigration, but for the speech therapy specific test, that one is quite advanced and quite difficult. We're a whole group of speeches who wants to start practicing, but yeah.
Okay, but when did you guys arrive here in Australia?
We arrived here on the 26th of November, just before Omicron hit.
Yes.
We were one of the last airplanes coming in, actually.
I hope you weren't the ones who brought Omicron. No. I'm joking because I remember it's like another strain from, I think this was South Africa as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, they blamed it on us, but it actually came from the UK. They haven't apologized yet.
But it's easier to blame South Africa because, you know, the UK would have been, I can't even do a bad Scottish accent. I'm trying to think about it. It's not us, it's the Queen. Oh, I'm so lame at making jokes. Okay, so it's been 5 months-ish, almost 6 months.
Yeah, yes.
And Este, how does it feel to be a stay-at-home mum and go on beach excursions?
It's lovely. It's challenging. I've got 2 strong-willed little girls, but they are lovely. And we were used to cleaning our own place in South Africa. We were used to doing our own yard work. So it's not a big adjustment in that sense, but I just see it as such a blessing to be at home, to care for my kids, to care for my household. It was something that I was really missing in South Africa, trying to balance full-time work and the kids. And then Australia really cares for its children. We have free playgroups weekly. The library has free toddler classes, the art gallery in town, and this is a small town. The art gallery has free toddler classes once a month. They've got dancing and music and everything for the kids. And then the government as well, I don't know if it's the same in Perth, but they subsidize some of your activities for your children as well. So yeah, we are busy, busy, but it's lovely. They really care for the children. And then, as you know, the parks here, oh my goodness, they are lovely.
How old are your two daughters?
2 and 4.
Okay, well, I'm in your boat because I've got a just turned 3-year-old daughter and then 4-year-old, 6-year-old, 8-year-old kids. So I've got, I've got the spectrum. But the point is, yeah, literally, they're basically 2 years apart, but sometimes closer to that one's birthday. Anyway, but the point is just that at this age, 2 and 4-year-old, parks play such an important role for mums because we get to have a little bit of sanity. You get out of the house, you go and spend some time in beautiful, clean air. The kids can run around. They can actually see what it looks like outside of your 4 walls, which is what we tend to be in all the time back in South Africa because it was unsafe to go anywhere else.
Absolutely. I can remember walking to our park and having to look over my shoulder, or going to the mall and having to put a little safety bracelet on my child's wrist. Whereas here, we went to visit our friends in Sydney. They run 50 meters ahead of you, and the only thing you're scared of is the cars passing by. You don't care for people grabbing your kids or grabbing your cell phone from your back jean pocket. We feel like such rebels now. Car windows.
How can you be so irresponsible? It's funny. My parents also live in Australia. It's not funny that they live here. It's what I'm about to tell you is funny about my mum. I say funny, it's actually just a sign of how traumatized a lot of us have been in South Africa, because my mum left there. She's been here all 20 years now, and she still has that scared, I gotta lock everything around me, in her. Like literally, they built this massive gate in front of their home because like steel wrought iron, like the South African version, because she cannot escape that what she used to live with in South Africa, even though she doesn't need it here. It's just, it shows you how it's ingrained into some people. Absolutely. So hopefully your daughters are young enough that they will grow up and not have to remember slaughter. Well, it's a good reminder though to say, hey, this is what mom and dad left.
Yeah.
And Drikus, tell me a little bit about your job in general, over and above the great hours that you have at the moment. How is working with animals in South Africa versus working with animals in Australia? Do you work with the same, is it like normal pets, or do you specialize?
So I'm just a small animal veterinarian. So that means I just do dogs and cats, basically. Maybe the odd ferret or rabbit or bird here and there. But on average, it's just dogs and cats, which I did in South Africa as well. Yeah, it's definitely, the smaller practices already have a lot more, call it toys, in terms of what you can work with in terms of diagnostics and so on, which we could only dream of, or would have been seen in some of the bigger, larger practices in South Africa. So I'm definitely practicing at a higher standard of care, as I was trained to do, but it's just more probable now. And most people don't go, oh, we don't have money. They would always be some form of money somewhere that they could use for the pets. Well, in South Africa, many a time that you tell, well, we need to do this, and then they say, no, we can't do this because we don't have money, and we have to think about, and then in the end, the animal suffers. And so definitely a lot less of that happening here. And and
we have nurses now.
Yeah, well, that's in South Africa, the larger practices did have quite a few nurses as well, but the smaller ones where I worked mainly didn't have any nurses, so I had to get accustomed to actually having nurses around where they would be able to draw blood from animals and so on, and where I can just hand them the animal and say, go do this, and I don't have to worry about
it.
So they take a little bit of your workload away, which means then you can focus more on the specialized things that you need to.
You're doing a bunch of cool surgeries as well.
Yes, I'm starting to learn to do a few more surgeries.
Good, yes. Is that learning at the practice or?
Yes. Yeah, so it's just it's skills that I just weren't, I learned about it at university at almost at work, but I wasn't trained in it. So it's just basically the training from that. And we do refer to some of the bigger practices down the closest one would be Newcastle or Sydney, depending on how far clients would like to drive. But many of those owners don't want to drive that far. And I'll say it's a broken leg, so I need to fix the leg. So I need to get the training for that. Even though I could refer, but most people say, well, we don't want to do the drive, I'd rather try and fix it. So that's actually good.
Which is the beauty of being in a small country town. I remember my dad's a GP, and we in South Africa, we lived in a small country town. And exactly as like what you're saying now, you just learn to do everything because you're the answer. There's no alternative. The skills that you'll learn is incredible because, if you were in a big place and all these other things were available, people would have just gone to those options. And now you get to just, it's beautiful. You broaden your horizons. I just wanted to touch upon a point that you raised, which is really, I think, an important one as well. And that is about people's ability to care for financially for their animals, which is quite different to, well, I refer to South Africa because that's your background as well, but I know some of our viewers are from other countries. But to give the viewers an idea, in South Africa, animals, dogs specifically, cats, same idea, are much more easily able to be bought. Like you can just get them for free. In fact, there is such an overflow of animals, like too many pets, that people just want to get rid of them essentially. Whereas here in Australia, it's entirely the opposite. Like you pay through your ears to buy a pet. Like you pay upwards, like easily of $1,000 to buy a crossbreed dog, which is unheard of in South Africa. You would never pay for something like that in South Africa because dogs are just that so much more cheap to get. And so when people in Australia do buy animals, they are probably much better placed to be looking after them in the first instance because they have now forked out a big amount to have that animal. And so they also know that they need to be able to care for that animal going forward, and animal health funds, medical funds, what's the insurance, animal health insurance? What do they call it here again?
Yeah, it's probably still animal or health
insurance.
Pet insurance for them, yes. Definitely seeing more of it here, but still, there are still a few people that don't know about it, and we still need to educate about it. But definitely seeing a lot more people asking me to fill in on the claim forms, or help fill in the claim form. So yes, most people at least are planning on putting the animals on health insurance, which is great.
Yes.
Yes, because it's really expensive to go to the vet. I know I've got two. Look, there's one there. She's lying a little bit in the dark, so you can't really see a Yorkshire Terrier. And then I've got another one on the ground here with me. So, I'm very much aware of what vet expenses are. But I'm happy to pay that because I know that my animals are being looked after well. And for me, they're part of my family just as much as, well, if they want to say my children, they're not more important than my children. But they were my children before my children came into my life. And if you want to have animals in Australia, it's something that people really can take serious into consideration. Can they afford it? And can they walk them? Because as you guys will know by now, walking your animals, walking your dog in Australia is like a thing that people do. You go out and you exercise your animal outdoors, and if you don't do it, it's almost like, have you walked your dog today?
And there's doggy beaches where they can go off the leash, and they have little baggies for your doggy's waist, and it's free again.
And people actually pick it up.
Yes, they do.
No, it's great. It's such a pet friendly place.
Yes,
it's just incredibly beautiful. I love how you can go to restaurants and places, and they've got the bowls outside. One thing that we're a little bit behind though in still is accommodation when you go on holiday with your animals. I know in the US these days they have pet hotel. No, I won't say pet hotels because that's something else. Pet hotel is a kennel. It's a fancy name for a kennel, a boarding place for animals. But hotels where people live, that you can take your dog or your cat or whatever, your animal with you into the hotel. It's like, it's like, I want to say stock standard. So here in Australia, we're still a little bit behind on that. But if you want to do that, Airbnb is the way to go because there are several places that you can take your animals. But it's beautiful to see how that bond between dog and person or cat and person is displayed in Australia. People really go out of their way to care for their animals. And sometimes you look at the dog and you think, oh, that looks like a mongrel. Sorry, that's the word that we use in South Africa. And then the people will tell you, no, they paid a whole lot of money to have this dog. And I'm like, well, I'm just so thankful. I'm talking more than you guys. I'm going to let you. Can see I'm passionate about animals.
That's wonderful, Shamini.
Now, maybe I'll ask you guys to tell me a little bit about your experience of seeing animals being adopted. And I'm sure, Drikus, you'll know a little bit about, all the racing dogs and those ones. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so definitely we are seeing a lot of animals adopted. We actually working quite closely with the pound in the area. So whenever there's a dog that they either pick up or need to rehome, we'll definitely help with that as far as we can. And most animals get rehomed within, I think the longest we had to keep or something was 2 or 3 weeks. So it's really quick in and out. And there's lots of people that love the animals. So they would take on a few more, and then sometimes we have to say, no, you can't take any more. But they definitely, they are caring for the animals. And if your dog gets lost, it would get picked up by one of the council workers or be taken to a vet. And well, in New South Wales, at least, you need to have your pets microchipped. So definitely it's quite easy to pick up where the owners are. But you do get the ones that don't have a microchip or a number that is contactable. But then again, the Facebook groups and so on work very well, especially in a small country town like this. It's very easy and quickly to find out who the owners are and get the dog back to where it needs to go.
Yeah. We've had a dog show up on our doorstep and I'm like, well, it can't be coming from too far. And it was a beautiful schnauzer, like it was a really beautiful dog. And had no collar on, so I could not identify. And obviously I don't have a microchip reader at home, so I'm not like this is. So I just took him to the vet down the road, and they were able to scan and obviously phone the owner. And she's like, "Naughty dog, you should not have gone out of the basement."
Oh, cute.
And they just were like literally like 5 houses down the road from us, but so it's that's an important thing. And also, can you tell us a little bit about the process of adopting? Because I know it's not just, I want to adopt a dog and there you go. It's actually like a process you go through to be able to adopt a dog.
Yes, yeah, they do. I do that. I think they do home visits, figuring out if you can and see if you can afford it on the one side as well, just to make sure that placing the right dog with the right owner, basically. So, and that's more part of what the pound does. It's not part of what we do, but I know there is quite an extensive screening process before they actually come and view the animal, before they finally decide to actually buy it or if not adopt it.
Yeah.
Have you seen any sort of different kind of diseases and things that the animals come to practice for, or is it very similar to this kind of stuff you saw in South Africa?
It's fairly similar. The vaccination schedule just changes. So in South Africa, we vaccinated against rabies, but rabies is not prevalent in Australia. But definitely we're vaccinating against heartworm in Australia again, which we don't have in South Africa. So those are trade-offs. But in terms of the general diseases, ticks are different as well.
Bad,
So in South Africa, we had tick bite fever, rather, which would cause dogs to bleed internally, while now we have paralysis ticks, and paralysis ticks just cause the animals to be paralyzed. And we treat it as if it was a snake bite, so with the anti-venom and fluids and so on. So it's a lot different. All the drug names are different, trade names, but the actives are still the same, so that's okay. So as long as I speak about the active ingredient, people know what I'm speaking about. But yeah, in general, and then on drugs as well, there's a lot of drugs that I didn't have to use or couldn't use in South Africa, just due to cost constraints. But now I can actually use it just because people can afford it.
That's great. Yeah. So the animal gets better treatment essentially.
Yes.
Yeah. And Drikus, with your assessment, your skills assessment initially, can you walk us through what that process entailed?
So the skills assessment for vets is done by a separate body. So I think it's the AVBC, as I remember, the Australian Veterinary Boards Council. So they do just veterinarian. So if it's a vet nurse, it goes through the normal skill, the vet assess, if I remember correctly. But the Australasian one, people are very friendly. Normally, if I emailed them, I had a response within a day. Last year, maybe because the office is in Melbourne, so they had a little bit of an issue with COVID. Last year, getting it all done. So the longest I had to wait for a response was about two days. But in general, it's getting all my academic transcripts from the university, and then submitting my work experience combined with my degree, and yeah, that was about it. That was needed for that. And then I waited about 6 weeks to get that. They said that was a little bit longer than usual. Typically, it takes about 3 weeks, apparently, but that was due to COVID. It took a little bit longer, and that was the last thing we were waiting for, actually, before we submitted our visa.
Yeah, and then we got our visa so quickly. Did you tell her? No. Within 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, less than 2 weeks. I think it was 10 days. Yeah.
Wow. And you were like, what?
Yeah,
real?
Pretty much.
So at that stage, were you guys ready to, because you said you've been looking, trying to come for a while. Were you ready to come then, or where were you in your process, like getting ready, packing and stuff?
We already have our flights.
Yes.
His employers already booked flights. Yeah, so I already started selling my practice, and we
started selling all the big stuff in the house, which we knew we weren't going to take, and we knew we were going to come to Australia probably within the next 6 months or so. So we submitted our visa on in August, 18th August, and we received it 1st of September. And then our flights were booked for 16 October.
Yeah.
And then the 3rd of September, we received news that our flights got bumped, which was a blessing in disguise as well.
But it was a terrible feeling at that time.
Yes, because so she's luckily was her own boss, so it was fine. But I resigned and all that. Like, I'm not going to be here. And then 2 days later, like, hey, sorry, I'm going to be here for another month. They were happy to keep me for another month. So
they were very gracious. We were so thankful that they were willing to keep him on for another month.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we really just started looking for to sell our house from we actually had the visa in our hands. Otherwise, just to make sure. But that was the last big thing we had to sell in South Africa.
And that also this sale went through just before we came over. So everything planned out perfectly in the end. But sure, it was moeilijk.
Yeah, it's so scary because you're in limbo. You don't know whether you're coming or going, and when is it, and is it going to happen now or not? It's like,
And the
I'm trying to
emotions. It's such a roller coaster. So you get your visa and you have your flights, and it's like, oh, sorry, mama, tata for the last time, and then our flights got cancelled.
Hello, I'm back again.
I'm back again.
Okay, I'm going again. I'm back again. How many goodbye parties did you have?
I think it was 2 in the end.
Yeah, we just had 2. But
yeah, but it was then a month later we came home.
And tell me a little bit about sharing the news with people around you. When you sort of started thinking, okay, we want to try and go to Australia, when did you tell anybody else that this is what you're doing and broke the news?
We told our family quite quickly after I actually had the job offer, to tell them that we're planning on doing this, and just to have, many of them weren't very happy.
But some of them were very supportive.
Yes, and some said, well, we're not happy about it, but that's what you want to do, so we'll support you in that. So that's a good and amicable response. We told very close friends, people that would pray with us and sort of just did life with us at that stage, which was also good. And then we started reaching out on the Facebook groups to see if we can find someone that maybe lives here or close by, and we actually found people. So that was good. So
that's amazing. So as we came here, we were placed into self-isolation. And we weren't able to get out for 2 weeks, and we were in this new country with toddlers, and then people started dropping food at our door. We had our birthday parties and wedding anniversary in isolation, and we got cake, Chamonix, we got cake and flowers and champagne. So,
awesome.
There was some the lady that I contacted put me into contact with her daughter, who's a South African. She's been here for 16 years and she's married to an Aussie. So we had some Afrikaans speaking people as our feet touched. And his employers have been lovely as well, because they also have the South African background. But people are so friendly in the smaller towns here in Australia, I find. If you are friendly and willing to engage with them, they are so friendly, right?
Yeah. Yes, very open, and hey, everybody asks you how you're doing when you go to the shops.
They don't want a response though.
Some people actually
don't strange for me. How are you going?
People actually do, but yeah, if you answer like, oh no, I've been really good, and then you'd be surprised. Like sometimes they go, or sometimes they go, oh, that's great, and have a chat.
Yeah.
Oh, it's very interesting. Okay, and tell me a little bit about your girls. How did they find the journey over and settled in? And
so I'm a planner. I planned that airplane trip to the T. So I packed in little baggies, and I went to, I think it was Westpac and Newlands Mall shopping center in South Africa, and I got all little trinkets and sensory toys, and I packed it in their bags, and I got them little lanyards, and I sewed little hooks on each toy. So every now and then they'll get a new toy on the lanyard, so if it falls down, we can pick it up. We don't have to bend down. And that kept my 2-year-old busy. They're not used to screen time as much, so my 4-year-old got to binge watch Paw Patrol, and that was sufficient for her for the entire 12 hours. She just, it was 26 hours.
Yeah, the first part of the flight to Qatar, he didn't watch too much, but then from there onwards, he slept about an hour, and then the rest of the time she watched. She wanted to, and it was the same movie on repeat. I think she watched it 3 or 4 times.
3 times, yeah.
Wasn't the best day, but it kept her busy.
You have to do what you have to do.
I know. I can vouch for that. Being a mama of 4, you do what you got to do to get through it.
It's 1 day of screen time. It's not going to kill them.
Hey, I actually think there's some goodness in screen time too, because the stuff that my kids have told me that they've learned online, I'm like, wow, where did you hear that? No, from that show or that show. I'm like, really? Okay, we might watch that show a little bit more.
Yeah. Bluey is going to be the reason that we're going to sound like Aussie soon.
Oh, but Louis is so cute, and it's a dog, being a vet and having a dog in the family, and maybe you can adopt a Bluey.
We are planning on bringing our 2 little doggies over. That's in process.
What kind of dogs are they?
One is a straatbrakkie, he's a mixed breed, and the other one is a Maltese, a little small Maltese poodle.
And are they undergoing their injections and things at the moment, or where are
they already had all of that.
Yeah.
So they're basically ready to go. We're just trying to figure out when.
When and which company to go with. So that's our next move. Then they'll be here.
Oh, how exciting! It's such a warm and fuzziness when they reach you. You're like, this now feels like home. Okay, you still got to get the passport. That's also a thing that helps a lot with that feeling. But really, when you have these important parts of your family come and join, it feels like you belong, and this is your place that you can call home now. Okay, quickly, what's the best thing for you about living in Australia?
Safety. I don't have to say before we go to bed, Liffy is the alarm on. I don't have to say that anymore. Yes. The beaches.
And the freedom.
Freedom.
I had a call out, and the car we used at that time broke down. So I had to go to the practice, which is about 700 meters away from where we live at the moment. And at 1 o'clock in the morning, I walked through the streets to go see the animal and walked back at 2 o'clock after seeing it. So it was, didn't even have to look over my shoulder or be afraid of anything. Yeah, so that was good.
And we live in a beautiful area. It's 10 minutes drive and you're at the ocean, or it's 15 minutes drive and you're in a forest or at a waterfall. It's beautiful. It's nature everywhere, and you go fishing now. Yeah. So
good. Well, you actually have time to go fishing, isn't that?
Yeah, for the first time.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much for sharing your journey with us. It's been incredible hearing how you have settled in 5-6 months into being in this country, and you already sound like Aussies, you're like part of the furniture already, and we're stoked to have you in Australia. So thank you for taking the plunge and being brave, and for doing it for your kids.
Oh, thank you so much, CHAMONIX. Have
My
a good
pleasure.
day.
Thank you. You too. Talk soon.
Bye.
Thanks for watching today's episode. I really hope that you enjoyed it. If you want to find your dream life faster and land your Aussie job sooner, Migration Made Easy, our signature online course, is the place to be for you. Hop onto chamonixtv.com.au/waitlist to make sure that you know when our doors do open the next time. Thanks for coming back each week, and I hope you hit the subscribe button so that you are notified whenever we have a new episode. All right, my friend, I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.
All right, so thank you so much for joining me today. If you had fun, please remember to hit that subscribe button, and then it'll make sure that you never miss a thing. I'll see you same time and same place next week. Bye for now.